Chukwudima Enyi. We start with the headlines. Nigeria's electoral body, INEC, under fire and criticism following its decision to de-recognize the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Appeal Court upholds judgments prohibiting NBC from imposing fines on broadcasting stations. Cameroon plans constitutional reform to create vice president role. And Artemis 2 crew embarks on historic journey to the moon, bound for lunar milestone. Details of this and more coming up shortly.
As the news drops, it breaks with us. Join us for news on the hour every hour. News desk at 12 noon, Metro News at 4 p.m. Enjoy infotainment, breaking and sports news at their best 24/7.
This is Ray Power FM News.
And now the news in detail. Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is facing mounting criticism following its controversial decision to de-recognize the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. The move, announced on Wednesday, has sparked outrage among opposition leaders and intensified political tensions across the country.
Opposition heavyweights and key figures within the ADC have strongly condemned INEC's action, describing it as politically motivated. They allege that the commission is acting under the influence of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC-led federal government. Several party leaders have gone further, calling for the immediate removal of INEC's chairman, Professor Joash Amokbiton, accusing him of compromising the independence of the electoral body. Critics argue that the derecognition of the ADC leadership raises serious concerns about the neutrality of the electoral umpire, especially as the country prepares for future elections. However, INEC has responded swiftly to the allegations. In an official statement, the commission dismissed the calls for the removal of its chairman, insisting that its actions were in line with constitutional provisions and its mandate to regulate political parties. INEC maintained that it remains committed to upholding transparency, fairness, and the rule of law in Nigeria's electoral process. Political analysts warn that the dispute could have wider implications for Nigeria's democratic stability if not carefully managed, and they're urging all parties involved to seek legal and peaceful channels to resolve the disagreements.
Now, moving on, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Nyesom Wike, has declared that the internal storm rocking the party PDP has subsided, announcing an open-door policy for former members seeking a return. Speaking during a media parley in Abuja today, Wike likened politics to a game of football rather than a fight to finish. He urged aggrieved politicians to set aside personal differences for the sake of the party's progress. Addressing the fallout from the party's recent national convention, the former Rivers State governor stated that the time for internal bickering has passed, stressing that the party has now focused on reconciliation and rebuilding its ranks. The minister revealed that several members who had previously jumped the PDP had already signaled their intention to return, noting that the political environment was becoming increasingly acceptable for those ready to do the work. Wike also took a swipe at the do-or-die mentality often associated with Nigerian politics, suggesting that such an approach made reconciliation impossible. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has consoled residents and families of victims of Sunday's deadly attack in Jos Plateau State, which left at least 28 people dead and 22 others injured, assuring that such an incident would not reoccur. He gave the assurance during his visit to Jos yesterday, where he interacted with government officials, traditional leaders, and affected families, among others. Tinubu said the best solution for Jos is to restore the city to the way it once was, as residents remember and grew up knowing. He said the government was elected from the promise of peace and prosperity, pledging to restore peace to Jos rather than merely offering condolences. Now, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has dismissed an appeal filed by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) seeking to overturn a federal high court judgment that restrained it from imposing fines on radio and television stations across the country. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Oye Biola Oyewumi, on behalf of a three-member panel, upheld the earlier ruling and set aside the fines imposed by the NBC on 45 broadcast stations on 1st March 2019 for alleged breaches of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. The panel was presided over by Justice Abba Mohammed, with Justice Donatus Okorowo as the third member. According to a statement issued by the Communications Officer of Media Rights Agenda (MRA), Idowu Adewale, the unanimous decision of the Court of Appeal stemmed from a suit filed by the non-governmental organization in November 2021, challenging the NBC's power to impose fines on broadcasters. You're still listening to the news desk on RayPower 100.5 FM. In the news, Nigeria's electoral body, INEC, under fire and criticism following its decision to derecognize the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Appeal Court opposed judgment prohibiting NBC from imposing fines on broadcast stations. And still to come, Cameroon plans constitutional reform to create vice president role. And Artemis II crews embark on historic journey to the moon, bound for lunar milestone. Plus business, entertainment, sports and weather. Do stay with us.
As the news drops, it breaks with us. Join us for news on the hour every hour. News desk at 12 noon, Metro News at 4 p.m. Enjoy infotainment, breaking and sports news at their best 24/7.
This is RayPower FM News.
Many thanks for staying with us. And now to the rest of the news. A proposed constitutional reform to create a vice president's position in Cameroon is triggering a sharp debate among lawmakers and raising questions about governance and legitimacy. The draft bill submitted to Parliament yesterday seeks to amend key provisions of the Constitution. Under the proposed changes, the vice president would be appointed and would take over in the event of a vacancy in the presidency. The initiative, which until recently had circulated only as speculation, has now become a focal point of political tension, with critics warning it could reshape the balance of power in Cameroon's political system. And now the Artemis II mission has reached a major milestone, with the 4 astronauts now on a trajectory to the moon. The Orion spacecraft successfully completed a 5 minutes and 55-second engine burn, propelling the crew out of Earth's orbit and onto a looping path around the far side of the moon. The crew is making history as the first humans to travel beyond Earth's orbit since 1972. The mission will take the crew around the moon and back, with checks on the spacecraft system already on the way.
And now, a business update from RayPower 100 FM.
And in business, the ECOWAS Bank of Investment and Development, EBID, has approved a total of $266.7 million for strategic projects across West Africa, with 100 million naira earmarked for Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway in Nigeria. EBID noted that the funding was granted during its 95th Board of Directors meeting held on 30th March 2026. And in Ghana, President John Mahama has announced that Ghana will roll out a free visa policy for all Africans starting 25th May 2026. The announcement was made following a bilateral meeting with Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa at the Sudes Lodge in Ghana's eastern region. Under the new policy, African travelers will be able to obtain e-visas online at no cost as part of broader immigration reforms.
This is entertainment news on RayPower 100.5 FM.
Omale has released his sophomore album, Clarity of Mind, debuting at #1 on Apple's Music Nigeria with over 227 million pre-release streams and a broad claim that it is the greatest Afrobeat album of all time. The 12-track, 33-minute project is his first full-length release since Boy Alone in 2022, a debut that cemented his status as one of the most distinctive voices in contemporary Afrofusion. Meanwhile, Wizkid and Jada Pollock sparked marriage rumors after a subtle detail caught fans' attention. A viral beach clip and a surprising brother-in-law remark from Jada's sister fueled online speculation. Neither has confirmed anything, but the mystery has fans buzzing and eager for the truth.
Ray Power Sport.
And now in sports, Bayern Munich and Brighton have cooled their interest in Con sensation, said El Mala. The Billy Goats are said to be holding out for a record-breaking transfer fee for the 19-year-old winger, leading potential suitors to reconsider their pursuit during the current window. Con are reportedly determined to maximize the value of their prized asset, seeking a transfer fee that will set a new record for a player of his age profile at the club. This firm Stan has forced both Bavarian giants and the Premier League side to explore other options, as they are currently unwilling to meet the steep valuation for the German talent. Meanwhile, ex-Italy goalkeeper Alexander Seferin has stepped down from his role as delegation with the Italy national team following the country's failure to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The decision comes in the wake of Italy's painful playoff defeat to Bosnia, where the four-time world champions lost 4-1 on penalties, extending a historic run of absence from the football's biggest tournament. Buffon, who was part of Italy's victorious squad at the 2006 FIFA World Cup, confirmed his resignation. In a statement, described it as an act of responsibility.
Ray Power Weather.
And in weather reports, sunny skies with patches of clouds would dominate the northern region. The central region will experience cloudy atmosphere with intervals of sunshine. However, isolated thunderstorms with light to moderate rain are expected over parts of Kogi, Nasarawa, Benue, Niger, and the Federal Capital Territory later in the day. Meanwhile, a cloudy atmosphere with intervals of sunshine will be experienced across the southern region, accompanied by light rains in some areas. And you've been listening to the news desk on Ray Power 100.5 FM Abuja. To end the news, here is our last line. According to Socrates, Greek philosopher and founder of Western philosophy, the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. That's the news desk produced by Kedonojo Okoliko. I am Chukudima Enyi. Join us at 1 p.m. for the news update, and you can always listen to Ray Power online on Radio Garden, online radio box, tunein.com, and the social media handle YouTube at Ray Power Abuja. Good afternoon, Abuja.